I'm gonna share how you can actually make $300 up to $500 a day trading US30 and USD JPY. So those are my favorite pairs. So I wanna share my strategy that's actually been working for me. But before I do that, let me break down what I did yesterday. So you can see this is a live account and I made $228 on a buy, okay? So here was my position entry, and then here was my close, and here was the actual position size. So I traded 1.15 lots to make 228 bucks. And then right here, you can see something very similar, right? So I made $207.80 trading US30 on a buy. Here's my entry and here's my close. So let's get straight into it. I'm gonna break down basically my thought process, the strategy, and everything else. So let's do USD JPY first. So my trading strategy is really simple. I don't use a ton of indicators. All I use is the 20 and the 50 EMA cross indicator, and then I trade price action. So you can see right here on the 4-hour time frame, I have a level of resistance, a level of support, and then a couple of other areas of interest. So I do use multi-time frame analysis. So basically I'm going in from the daily, looking at some levels, and then I try to get more granular by going into smaller time frames. So right here, you can clearly see some consolidation right here. So boom, 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 boom. And USD JPY has very clear structure going on right now. So it was really simple for me to understand that looking back in history, we don't see any crazy movement. We see a solid consolidation movement going from side to side. So let's go ahead and get more granular on the 1 hour. So price was around here when I started looking into that entry, okay? And what I noticed by looking left was price came down, respected this area, price came down, respected this area, and we don't see a lot of action. But because this is good enough margin, this is a good enough channel for me to get into a play, right? I'm gonna go ahead and bet that when price comes down to this area, let's go ahead and look for buy opportunities. So price started coming down, it started exhausting, so I got into the 15-minute time frame, and this is what I was actually looking at. So right here, price closed bearish, it exhausted, and then we had one small push to the upside, and then it came back down and exhausted. So let me go ahead and zoom in on this really quick. You see that these wicks right here is basically price saying, hey, we're starting to get tired, the sellers are getting tired, and then boom, I started seeing a bullish candle form. So once I saw this candle engulf this entire bearish candle, that's when I started going into an execution mode. So let's go ahead and look over here. Okay, so maybe I got into the trade a little bit higher, but regardless, once I started seeing this bullish candle engulf and I started seeing a lot of momentum, right, then I got into that position and started to actually buy. So here was my entry. I entered right around here, and then I was like, hey, since this is a solid consolidation channel, let's go ahead and take our profit all the way up here. So it was Asian session, early Asian session, I think, and I took my profits right around here. So this is kind of where I exited, and then there was a quick little pullback. I saw basically price respecting this area right here because of these wicks. So there's a lot of like basically price was just hanging around right here a lot. So that was another chance for me to get into an opportunity for a buy. So I got into another entry right around here. I put my stop loss below this area, and then I wrote it up just a little bit. So going back to Discord, you can see that this was my other entry for another 50 bucks, okay? But yeah, so I didn't take it all the way up because I didn't want to get greedy. Sometimes when price is in the middle of the channel, looking left over here, we can kind of see that price was maintaining some sort of structure, respecting this area as well. So my logic was like, okay, if price is respecting this area, you know, price could potentially start coming back down this way. So I didn't want to take a chance. It was a good risk reward setup. You know, the whole move is 1 to 3.74, which is good. But if we drag this this target viewer, you can see that I got basically a 1 to 2 risk on this. So, you know, I was really happy with it, and yeah, very proud of this trade. Just to explain the 20 and the 50 EMAs, I look for confluence. So if you see these little black squares, that means the 20 and the 50 EMA are crossing. So what I did was, if we scale out onto the daily, I look for at least 2 confirmations. So if price is above both the 20 and 50 EMA, that means it is bullish. And then so over here, we can kind of see that price was actually below. So this wouldn't actually be confluence, but because I saw price respecting this area, right? Very, very long wicks on the 4-hour time frame, I got into a play, right? I said, you know what? This is actually happening one more time again. So let's go ahead and look for an opportunity. So typically I look for at least 2 time frames that have price above or below. So in this case, the daily, we saw price above the 20 and the 50 EMA. And then the 4-hour, if price was above the 20 and the 50 EMA, it would have been a stronger confirmation. But I did take a risk. I looked at the granular details on the 1-hour and I said, you know what, this is solid consolidation, right? And it's clean movement. So I'm gonna take that risk. I got into it, I was right, and the rest is history. Okay, so the next trade is US 30, aka Dow Jones. This one, so this week has been super crazy. I mean, look at this crazy move to the downside, and then it started moving back up crazy, right? But yeah, so with US 30, very similar. You know, I would start off on the daily time frame, right? You don't really see too much going on, but right here you see price respecting that 20 and the 50 EMA. So price is most of the time above. So we're seeing basically a granular movement to the upside, right? It's higher highs and higher lows being formed. So that was a good sign. And then I went to the 4-hour to look for some more details. So let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit more on US 30. And so my thought process was this: price likes to hang out around this area. I don't know what these things are right here, but just ignore them. But yeah, so price is hanging around this area. We see exhaustion right around here. We see exhaustion right around here. And price started dipping, right? It looked like the Dow Jones was gonna go to hell, but it rebounded and then it retested along these lines. So that's why you see this black line right here, right? So this was essentially a break, a retest, and then we're starting to see that continuation. But I didn't get into any trades right here because I just didn't want to get into any sort of plays yet. So I waited, and what happened was price actually came back down and broke that structure, this 1-hour line that I drew up right here. And then that's when I started looking into more details. So let's go to the 1-hour time frame, and you'll see that this yellow area is basically the area of interest that I was basically paying attention to. And I noticed that right here, this was the first initial break, right? So this is actually a level, the retest, and then a strong bullish candle to the upside. And typically, you know, history repeats itself. So I looked over here and I saw strong candles to the downside, right? So the exact opposite reaction. But this was the big clue right here. These exhaustion wicks, right? So price started exhausting 1, 2, 3. So for 3 hours, price started slowing down, and that was when I noticed price was starting to respect this zone right here. So very similar, I went down to the 15-minute. I go to the 15-minute to look for entries, and then basically the confirmation that I look for is a bullish engulfing. So price came down, right, respected that area, and then this green candle that you see right here engulfed the entire red candle right here. So that was when I started looking for buys. And because US30 moves so quick, there's no need for me to come back up to that level. I did have TP2 marked, which was this high right here. But because I was already having a good day, I made some money on USD JPY. I was like, hey, this is a 1 to 2.25 risk reward ratio. Like, this is decent. So I believe I actually took my profits a little early because, you know, $300 to $500 a day is pretty legit. You know, there's typically around 20 trading days. So if I'm making 500 a day, multiply that by 20, do the math, it's not bad income. So anyways, that bullish engulfing right here was my confirmation to get in, and then boom, it just took off and I was happy. So the trade is actually still playing out. I do have people in my Discord holding until this level right here, but look how volatile Dow Jones is right now, right? Like, that is a lot going on, and so I didn't want to deal with that. It was Thursday, so you know, I was like, hey, like, the session's going to be over, the week's going to be over, let me go ahead and just take my profits. Hopefully this was a good enough breakdown. I'm a price action oriented trader. Sometimes I do use the Fibonacci, but I look at the daily. I scale in on the 4 hour, the 1 hour, and then I go into the 15-minute to look at confirmations to get into a trade. So if you have any other questions, feel free to comment below. I do have a free Discord that's going to be in the description below. And also, this is the broker that I actually use, GatesFX. You can get up to 1,000 leverage, so you don't need a huge account to actually make $300 to $500 a day. As long as you're scaling in on the 15-minute time frame and you're using proper risk management, you can do it too. But yeah, that's all I got. If you have any other questions, you can reach me at UNLOCKWITHNATE on my. That's all I got, guys. Appreciate you too.